All right. I call this meeting to order, and we ask our clerk Samuel Vondrak to call the roll.
Mayor Rafati.
Here.
Trustee Christoph.
Present.
Trustee Giselle.
Here.
Trustee Jones.
Here.
Trustee Rigoni.
Here.
Attorney Chugtai.
Present.
Police Chief Marshall. Fire Chief Graham Ladendorf.
Here.
Village Administrator Smith.
Here.
Assistant Village Administrator Kalpakidis.
Present.
Finance Director Trilip.
Here.
Utilities Director Vijay Raj.
Here.
Public Works Superintendent Malone.
Here.
Community and Economic Development Director March.
Present.
Building Director Kachoik.
Here.
Event Coordinator Polomsky.
Present.
All are present, Mr. Mayor. That
Thank
is
you.
all.
Thank you, clerk. All please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. I, Mayor Jacob Rafati, proclaim March 18, 2024 Student Government Day. May I have a motion and a second?
So moved. Second.
We have a motion by Trustee Giselle and a second by Trustee Jones. I ask Clerk Vondrak to call the vote.
Trustee Christoph.
Yes.
Trustee Giselle.
Yes.
Trustee Jones.
Yes.
Trustee Rigoni.
Yes.
Motion passed. That is all, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you. We will now begin with staff reports. Let's turn it to Village Administrator Molly Smith.
Residents have inquired if the village is planning to add more bike trails to make it easier to get around town without a car. The village regularly applies for grant funding to add or improve bike trails in our community. We have recently applied for a grant to potentially add a bike path along Sauk Trail from 80th Avenue to Pfeiffer Road. Additionally, when St. Francis Road was improved in 2021, a bike path was completed on the south side to fill in gaps between 88th Avenue and 84th Avenue. The village board is committed to making the village a bike-friendly community. We hope to connect all bike trails to the main bike trail, Old Plank Trail. This will allow residents to travel pretty much anywhere in Frankfort safely and on bikes or on feet, which is also environmentally impactful. Another question the village is often asked is, what is something that will help bring more business to Frankfort? Construction on the Pfeiffer Road extension project is underway with completion expected later this summer. The village expects this expansion will not only enhance connectivity, but also contribute to help spur economic growth along Route 30 and attract more businesses to the land that currently sits vacant. The expansion of the road will give businesses an opportunity to evolve in an undeveloped area. Additionally, more apartments and homes will be built to attract more residents and therefore attract more businesses. That is all, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you. Let's now turn it to our Assistant Village Administrator, Christine Kalpakidis.
You may wonder what role administration plays in budgeting. The administrative budget team consists of the village administrator, assistant village administrator, and the finance director, who work together with elected officials and staff to prepare a budget that carries out the goals of elected officials, while taking into consideration the needs of the village and departments to carry out their objectives. Each of the departments present requests for its individual departmental budgets with explanation, to address not only the current year, but also future needs of our community through their long-term capital plans. Together, this allows us to implement initiatives and continue to provide high-quality services to Frankfort residents. Also, staff have been asked to share some of the benefits from the implementation of transitioning to paperless board packets. As the world keeps changing, so does the use of technology. Overall, electronic board packets offer numerous benefits that contribute to significant costs, saving by eliminating expenses associated with paper, printing, copying, and distribution. Other benefits have been staff time efficiency by streamlining the preparation and distribution process, saving time for administrative staff, easier accessibility and transparency, and of course, environmental sustainability. The Village of Frankfort has embraced this digital transformation, and electronic board packets have become an increasingly popular and valuable tool for modern governance. Our team has overall benefited from it and excited to see how technology can benefit us in the future. That is all, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you. Let's now turn it to our Utilities Director, Sahana Vijay-Raj.
Residents have inquired about the status of this year's water main replacement program. This year's water main replacement program includes a new water main downtown on Kansas Street between Oak and Ash and on South Walnut Ridge Court and South Butternut Circle in the Butternut neighborhood. The estimated cost for this project is $1.3 million. Work is expected to commence in Butternut in early summer, while Kansas Street will not be started until the winter so as to limit conflicts with village events. Another frequently asked question is what the utility department is doing to address groundwater and stormwater that is entering into the sanitary sewer system. Every year, the utility department conducts a manhole and sanitary sewer televising project to identify defects that are allowing excess water to enter the sanitary sewer system. These projects are important because the excess water takes up treatment capacity at the village's wastewater treatment plant. The utility department is currently televising sewers in the southwest portion of town, including the Sandalwood and Coquille neighborhoods. Later this year, the village will go out to bid to repair any defects that are discovered. However, the most common question we get is how come we don't have Lake Michigan water? Chicago water has to be purchased from other townships, which purchase their water from other townships. And each time this happens, there's a price increase to the water, so by the time it reaches Frankfort, the water becomes very expensive. So if Frankfort were to purchase Chicago water, it would be more expensive than if water were produced from Frankfort wells, which would drive the water bills up. That is all, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you. Let's now turn it to our Finance Director, Jared Turlip. You may wonder where the village revenue come from. The main sources of revenue within the village governmental funds are taxes, including sales tax, income tax, and property tax. The village's utility fund revenue is mainly generated through user charges for water and sewer. I'd also like to report on how the village's recent technology upgrades have benefited Frankfort residents and businesses. There have been many enhancements for residents and businesses over the past year, including online payment options have been enhanced for many items, including water bills, permits, and business license. Water bills can even be paid through a text message now. Many customers have opted for paperless billing. The village has seen an increase of 3,200 paperless bills. Customers now have the ability to apply for many building permits online, which allows for quicker processing. All these enhancements cost a total of $300,000, along with maintenance fees. That is all, Mr. Mayor. Thank you. Let's now hear from our Public Works Superintendent, Allie Malone.
Residents have inquired how often the village streets are resurfaced. There's not an exact time when the streets are scheduled for resurfacing, as streets receive different usages. For example, a cul-de-sac would see significantly less traffic than a collector street. Streets that have higher traffic usage will require more maintenance before streets that have lower traffic counts. The roads are scaled and or rated on a scale from 1 to 6. An example of this is 92nd Avenue is currently being reviewed for resurfacing. Another question that is asked is, how does the village determine when a street will be resurfaced? Like I said before, the village evaluates every street annually to determine the condition rating of the asphalt. Based on the condition rating, the street may be included in the resurfacing program. The village addresses how low rated streets while staying within the budget of each year. Our budget this year is $9 million, but we are hoping to up our budget to $10 million. Our 140 miles of road, we would need a lot of money. We would also like a larger budget for the redoing of part of Old Plank Trail near Prairie Park. The playground in Prairie Park is also going to be redone this year. That is all, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you. Let's now hear from our Director, Community and Economic Development, Mary Ann March.
The Community and Economic Development Department frequently receives questions about development in downtown Frankfort. There are several proposed development or redevelopment projects that will enhance downtown Frankfort. We have had Thursday meetings in regard to the designs of projects around the area. Recently approved projects include a major building addition to the Old Frankfort Mall at 15 Ash Street, a new 4-unit commercial building currently under construction at 7 North White Street, and the rehabilitation of more than 100-year-old building at 116 and 118 Kansas Street, which will be the home of new fresh restaurant. The village has adopted a comprehensive plan that contains a chapter which specifically focuses on the future of downtown Frankfort over the next 10 to 20 years. The plan communicates the long-term vision of the village and addresses topics including land use, transportation, infrastructure, community facilities, housing, economic development, community design, and historic district. The ultimate goal is to connect our community in ways that will create an even healthier system. In addition, residents wonder if the village tries to save some old buildings from being torn down or changed so they look modern. The village has a long tradition of protecting and enhancing its historic district and historic buildings. The Historic Preservation Commission was established by ordinance in 1994 to promote, protect, and enhance the village's historic district and historic buildings. Saving historic buildings allows people in the future to see how people lived in the past. It is important to be mindful of our community so we can make changes accordingly. Buildings are like books because they tell a story of how people once lived and help create community pride, especially in our downtown area. If the historic buildings are torn down, some of our community history will be lost. That is all, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you. Let's now hear from our Director of Building, Maggie Kachowick.
On occasion, I am asked how often should building codes be updated and will our codes be revised soon. Some municipalities adopt the most current versions of codes as they are released with no amendments. The Village of Frankfort has historically been a few code additions behind the most current, but includes numerous local amendments that provide for higher quality projects. Our staff is currently reviewing the 2021 building codes for a future update. Usually, we try to mark codes relating to our most asked questions so that when residents have concerns, we can answer them more efficiently. That is all, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you. Let's now hear from our Event Coordinator, Kate Polumsky.
Residents have inquired if new events have been added to the 2024 calendar. Yes, the Village of Frankfort, in partnership with other local organizations, hosts a variety of family-friendly community events all year. Among these signature annual events, the village is delighted to offer some new experiences for 2024, including a summer kickoff celebration in June, Oktoberfest and Ghost Stories on the Green in October, and Chris Kindle Weekend in December. The opening day of the Frankfort Country Market is quickly approaching. The market will be held on Sundays from April 21st through October 27th from 9 a.m. to 1 p.m. Staff have been asked to provide an update on this year's layout. This year, the market will be held in the Brighter Green Municipal Parking Lot, Chamber Parking Lot, 2 Smith Street Parking Lot, and on Oak Street between Kansas Street and Elwood Street. The market will be different this year as we return to the pre-COVID layout of the market. Another big question we get is how does the community connect with schools? The community connects with a lot with our music program at the middle school. 2 examples are the chorus program performing at the tree lighting in December and the band and orchestra during the Memorial Day. We also use the public library to have many fun opportunities for the younger generation, and we are always looking for more volunteers when there's a big event. That is all, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you. Let's now hear from our Police Chief, Alexander Marshall.
Residents often inquire what they should do if they observe something suspicious. The Frankfort Police Department asks that you report all suspicious vehicles, persons, or activities. You can call our non-emergency number at 815-485-2500 or call 911. Also, do you know of a young person interested in law enforcement? The Frankfort Police Department has an excellent cadet program for young people interested in becoming a police officer. This program meets weekly and is a great opportunity to see if law enforcement is a career for you. The cadets learn police procedures and help the community by volunteering for various events. Information for this program is available on the village website. That is all, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you. Finally, let's hear from our Fire Chief, Graham Landendorf.
The district is primarily funded with property taxes paid by property owners in the district. A resident inquired why she received a bill for being transported to the hospital when she pays taxes. The property taxes ensure that the station, staff, and equipment are available for usage. There is a user fee when the services are used. This is like a park district having a public pool or ice rink. Taxes are paid for the facilities to be there. If one goes ice skating, there's a fee to use the rink. just as the Park District will charge a non-resident more for facility usage. The Fire District does this as well. Non-residents are charged more than a resident, and district accepts what the resident's health insurance pays. There are no fees charged for extinguishing a house fire. You may wonder who utilizes the districts the most. There are 2 assisted living facilities located within the district, with a 3rd approved and a 4th in preliminary discussion. The district averages 350 calls per service to these facilities on an annual basis. This total is expected to become 700 times if the 3rd and 4th facilities are built. Urgent or quick care facilities also call to have patients transported to emergency rooms. These facilities call average of 180 times per year. That is all, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you. Now it's time for the mayor's report. The village is a non-home rule municipality. I'm often asked what this means. A non-home rule municipality may only exercise powers for which express authority provided by state law. This means that non-home rule communities are dependent on obtaining grants of authority from the General Assembly and Governor. Are there any questions from the trustees?
Yes, Mr. Mayor. Does the village have a long-term financial plan?
I think that could be answered from our finance director, Jared Turlip.
Yes, the village has a long-term financial plan. This plan projects operating costs as well as capital costs. In addition, it identifies and plans for changing trends in the economy, incoming revenues, required expenditures, and budget plans as well.
Are there any more questions before we move on?
Another question, Mr. Mayor. What is the village doing to improve the planet?
I think that could be answered from our Community and Economic Development Director, Mary Ann March.
The village's adopted comprehensive plan has many green initiatives that are good for the environment. For example, the village requires native landscaping in residential subdivisions. Native landscaping requires less water, helps reduce air pollution, and provides shelter for food and wildlife. The village also encourages the reuse of existing buildings for other purposes when feasible. This practice is called adaptive reuse and saves buildings from being torn down and placed in landfills.
Thank you. Are there any more questions before we move on?
Yes, Mr. Mayor. What are the most frequent calls that the Frankfort Police Department often respond to?
I think that could be answered from our Police Chief, Alexander Marshall.
The Frankfort Police Department responds to a variety of calls. Our most common calls for service are cases of identity theft, domestic disputes, and traffic-related incidents. Only occasionally are there crimes of violence reported.
Thank you. Are there any more questions before we move on?
Yes, I have a question. I saw the purchase of body cameras has taken place. Chief, can you explain the implementation of body cameras for our police department?
Well, under the Safety Act, municipalities with a population under 50,000 are required to utilize body cameras by January 1st, 2025. The Frankfort Police Department is in the beginning stages of implementing the program. The body cameras have been purchased, and the community can expect to see them in use by late May of this year. Body cameras are a great tool to improve officer safety and to provide transparency to the community. Thank you.
Thank you. Are there any more questions before we move on?
Another question, Mr. Mayor. What is the village doing to help create more fun opportunities for young people in this community?
I think that could be answered from our Community and Economic Development Director, Mary Ann March.
The village has adopted a comprehensive plan that provides a guide for land use and zoning decisions. The plan includes many future bike trails and open space such as parks and playgrounds. A recently approved project at the Roma Sports Building at 9115 Roma Court will add 20,000 square feet of expanded indoor recreational space and several new outdoor playing fields.
Thank you. Are there any more questions before we move on?
Yes, I have one more question, Mr. Mayor. Does the village have to cut grass on private property if it's too long?
I think our building director, Maggie Gachowick, would like to answer that.
Village staff makes every effort to identify private property owners and require that they provide maintenance. Unfortunately, there are times that the grass is too long, or the owners are unable to provide maintenance within the required time. Once this occurs, staff have our landscaping contractor provide maintenance, and any unpaid invoices from the property owner turn into liens recorded against the property. The money is then reimbursed upon sale of the parcel. We also have to intervene when the structural integrity of a building is unstable, so that our residents stay safe. That is all, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you. Are there any more questions before we move on? We will now move on. Clerk Von Track, would you like to report anything this evening?
Yes, the village held early voting at the Village Hall March 4th through 15th. There were a total of 248 early voters. A question I get asked is, how do residents register to vote? You can come to the Village Hall and we will get you registered, or you can go to the Will County Clerk website for registration and more details. I also get asked, how do citizens find their polling place? This can additionally be answered by visiting the Will County Clerk.gov website. Finally, business attire. I also get asked, when will business attire for board meetings go into effect? They will go into effect Memorial Day through Labor Day. This consists of wearing a polo, dress pants, or golf attire. That is all, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you. Attorney Chugtai, do you have anything to report this evening?
No report tonight, Mr. Mayor. However, some may wonder what the village attorney does at board meetings. Among other things, the village attorney advises the board on matters before it, including the vote required to take final action, answer questions as needed, and ensures compliance with Illinois Municipal Code, Open Meetings Act, and other applicable authorities. I've also been asked if the village attorney needs to study a specific area of law to be a village attorney. If specific area is not required, but a village attorney should be familiar with municipal law, local prosecution, and civil procedure. Future village attorneys might consider taking practical courses such as participating in a clinic or client counseling to gain real-world experience while in law school. All attorneys are required to complete continuing legal education, and completing courses in areas currently impacting municipalities can ensure continued competency. The village attorney might experience on most days a morning in the meeting with other attorneys and court for several hours daily. That is all, Mr. Mayor. Thank you.
Thank you, Attorney Chugtai. Are there any more questions from the staff or audience? Yes. Trustee Giselle.
Why is the mayor paid so little in comparison to other village employees?
The salary of the mayor is set by the trustees. The mayor is paid $11,000 a year, while the trustees are paid $4,000 a year. It's a part-time job. Are there any more questions before we move on from the staff or audience?
Yes, Mr. Mayor. Did the village start branch collections yet?
I think that can be answered from our Superintendent of Public Works, Allie Malone.
Branch cleanup will start on April 1st and will run through October 14th of 2024. The Village of Frankfort is pleased to announce the significant improvements to its long-standing brush collection program. Beginning April 1st, 2024, the village will transition to an east and west brush route collection schedule. Here's the new schedule. The east brush route is the 1st and 3rd of May of the month for the residents of the areas east of Route 45. The west brush route is the 2nd and 4th Monday of the month for residents in the west area of Route 45. If there happens to be a 5th Monday in a particular month, no brush service will be provided. If a holiday falls on a Monday, branches will be picked up the following day.
Thank you. Are there any more questions from the staff or audience before we move on?
I have a question, Mr. Mayor.
Yes, Attorney Chugtai.
May I present these gifts to Mayor Ogle and Ms. Litchie for their time and help?
We would like to thank Mayor Ogle and event coordinator, Ms. Lynchy, for the time they took to teach us all about Student Government Day. Yes, you're welcome. Is there any more questions from the audience or staff before we move on?
I have one final question, Mr. Mayor. Based on how recognized Frankfort is for its fall festival, how many people attend it annually?
I think that can be answered from our event coordinator, Kate Polumsky.
Around 250,000 people attend Fall Fest annually because it is a very fun and innovative festival. That is all.
Are there any more questions from the staff or audience before we move on? I would like to remind everyone that all meetings of the village board and village committees are open to the public. The village board meets the first and third Mondays of each month. Meetings are broadcasted live and repeated on cable TV 6, village website, and the village YouTube channel. This Student Government Day meeting will be available for viewing also. Can I have a motion and an adjourn for this meeting?
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
This meeting is adjourned.